I'm asking you to stop right now. Put aside everything you are doing. Take a deep breath and focus on my words. What I'm about to share with you in the next few minutes has the power to radically change the way you look at challenges, failures, and opportunities that appear in your life. You see, most people constantly resist the very force that is meant to help them move forward. They push themselves, pressure themselves, drain their resources, and genuinely don't understand why life feels like an endless struggle. But what if I told you there is another way? What if your greatest strength isn't in forcing results at any cost, but in your ability to trust the process and align yourself with the natural flow of life? I've spent years studying human psychology, neuroscience, and the patterns that separate people who consistently realize their dreams from those who remain stuck in struggle. And the conclusion I've reached is both simple and astonishing. People who seem to effortlessly attract success, love, abundance, and inner fulfillment aren't necessarily smarter, more talented, or better than you. They've simply mastered one key skill that remains inaccessible to most. It's the ability to maintain inner calm and trust, a belief that life will bring them exactly what aligns with their true intentions when their thoughts, emotions, and actions are in harmony with their deepest desires. I understand that for some of you this may sound like naive fantasy, self-deception, or even mystical nonsense, but I ask you not to rush to conclusions. What I'm about to explain is grounded in real scientific principles and practical experience. When I say that the universe responds to your state, I'm not talking about passively waiting for miracles. I'm talking about understanding the fundamental laws that govern success and learning to act in alignment with them rather than against them. Pause for a moment and think. All of nature follows certain laws. Water always flows downward. Plants reach for the light. Magnets attract metal. These aren't coincidences, they're principles that govern the physical world. Your life follows its own laws as well. And just as you use electricity to light your home or account for gravity when building something, you can learn to use these invisible forces to create the life you truly want to live. The first principle you must understand is this: your external reality is always a reflection of your internal state. This isn't abstract philosophy, it's a concrete, observable process. Your thoughts generate emotions. Your emotions influence your behavior. Your behavior produces results, and those results shape the reality you live in. It's a closed loop, one most people never even notice. Let me give you an example. Imagine two candidates applying for the same job. They have similar experience, education, and skills. The first walks into the interview feeling anxious, tense, and afraid. His mind is filled with thoughts like, I really need this job. What if I'm not good enough? There are so many competitors. These thoughts create a sense of lack and insecurity that shows up in his voice, gestures, and behavior. The second candidate enters the same room with a sense of calm, confidence, and curiosity. He thinks, I'm interested in learning more about this opportunity. I have value to offer. Whatever happens, I'll find my path. These thoughts create inner stability and openness that reflect in his speech, eye contact, and presence. Who do you think makes the stronger impression? It's not just about skills or a resume, it's about the state, the energy a person radiates. And this isn't mysticism, it's basic psychology. We enjoy being around people who are calm and confident. We trust those who radiate stability and inner balance. We want to interact with those who create a comfortable atmosphere around them. But this is exactly where most people go wrong. They try to pretend to be confident. They put on a mask. They act as if they feel different than they actually do. Sometimes this works in the short term, but it quickly becomes exhausting and never leads to lasting results. The real key is learning to genuinely transform your internal state so that calmness, trust, and confidence become natural, not performed. And this brings us to the second fundamental law. Your emotional state determines which opportunities you notice and which ones you attract into your life. When you live in fear, tension, and desperation, you literally cannot perceive the same opportunities that are visible to someone in a state of calm and trust. It's not that those opportunities don't exist, it's that your brain filters reality through the lens of your dominant emotional state. Think about the last time you were choosing a major purchase, for example, a car. Before you became interested in that model, you probably didn't notice it on the road at all. But the moment it became meaningful to you, you started seeing it everywhere. Did the number of cars suddenly increase? Of course not. Your brain simply tuned itself to notice them. The same thing happens with your internal state. When you're stressed, your brain looks for threats, problems, and evidence that confirms your fears. When you're calm and confident, it begins to notice solutions, opportunities, and signals that reinforce your strength and capability. And this isn't just about perception, it genuinely changes what shows up in your life, because it changes how you act, what risks you're willing to take, and which steps you feel inspired to make. Stay with me until the end of this video. Ahead are principles that may become a turning point in your life. And of course, subscribe to the Power of the New Me. Hit the like button and leave any comment, even 3 sevens. Any activity helps YouTube's algorithm promote this video. Thank you for your support. Let me share another idea, one that's hard to believe until you experience it yourself. The moments you most desperately want something to happen are often the very moments you push it away. Look at relationships. Have you noticed that the harder you try to impress someone, the less attractive you often become? Excessive effort creates a sense of neediness and tension. But when you're genuinely relaxed, confident, and not clinging to the outcome, you naturally become more magnetic to others. This principle applies to every area of your life without exception. When you're desperate to close a business deal, clients sense that tension and feel the urge to pull back. When you're actively hunting for a romantic partner, you often attract the wrong people or push away those who truly fit you. When you cling tightly to a specific outcome, you create resistance to the very result you're trying to achieve. This is why the ability to maintain inner calm is absolutely essential. Calmness isn't just a pleasant feeling, it's a powerful strategic advantage. In calmness, you think more clearly. In calmness, you make better decisions. In calmness, creativity opens up. In calmness, you become more attractive to others. In calmness, you notice opportunities more easily. In calmness, you hear your intuition more clearly. And it is in calmness that you allow life and the universe to do its work. But a natural question arises. How do you maintain this state when everything around you feels chaotic and uncertain? How do you trust the process when you don't see a clear path ahead? How do you let go of control when you were taught from childhood that success comes only through constant pressure, effort, and struggle? And yes, persistence and dedication do matter, but they are only half of the formula. The other half is the ability to feel the moment, to know when to apply effort and when to let events unfold, to know when to act and when to wait, to know when to insist and when to release. Imagine a river flowing towards the ocean. It doesn't fight the stones in its path. It doesn't worry about whether it will reach its destination. It simply flows. And when an obstacle appears, the river doesn't try to break through it with force. It moves around it. It adapts. It remains fluid. It trusts its natural direction and allows the current to carry it forward. Your life can unfold in exactly the same way. When you tune in to your natural rhythm, trust your inner impulses and stay flexible, your movement through life becomes much easier and smoother with minimal resistance. Opportunities begin to appear at the right moment. The right people show up exactly when they're needed. Solutions reveal themselves the moment you're ready to see them. Resources become available precisely when you're capable of using them. This isn't magic. It's the natural order of things when you stop fighting with life. Most people experience moments of synchronicity only occasionally, usually during times when they feel especially good or when they temporarily release control. But imagine if you could live in that state consistently. If the feeling of alignment and flow became your default mode. The key to this is learning to distinguish inspired action from desperate action. Inspired action is born from clarity, inner uplift, and deep understanding. It feels light, even when it requires effort. It energizes you instead of draining you. It feels as if something is pulling you forward rather than you pushing yourself by force. Desperate action, on the other hand, comes from fear, scarcity, and the belief that nothing will happen unless you pressure yourself. It feels heavy, exhausting, and tense. It depletes you. It feels like swimming against the current. Once you learn to recognize the difference between these two states, your entire approach to goals changes. Instead of creating endless lists of things you must do and forcing yourself through them, you begin to listen to which steps feel right in the moment. You start trusting that the necessary actions will reveal themselves at the right time. You gain confidence that the path unfolds as you move. This isn't about passivity or laziness. It's about conscious energy management. It's about learning to work with the natural cycles of life rather than resisting them. It's about understanding that timing plays a crucial role and that trying to rush the process often produces the opposite effect. Let me share a personal story that illustrates this principle clearly. Several years ago, I was working on a project. For months, I poured enormous amounts of time and effort into it. Long work hours, dozens of calls, countless emails, multiple strategies, but nothing was working. Every door I tried to open slammed shut. Every path led to a dead end. I was exhausted, frustrated, and began questioning whether I should continue at all. At some point, I realized I was trying to force something that simply wasn't ready to happen. So I made a decision that felt completely illogical at the time. I stopped. I removed all pressure. I didn't abandon the project, but I stopped pushing it. I shifted my attention to other areas of life and trusted that if this project was meant to evolve, it would find its way back to me. 2 weeks later, I received a call from someone I had never met. He had heard about the project through a mutual acquaintance and offered to collaborate. He had exactly the resources and skills I lacked, and he was just as inspired by the idea as I was. What seemed impossible under pressure became simple and natural the moment I allowed events to unfold. This experience gave me a profound understanding of how manifestation truly works. It's not about passive waiting. It's about aligning your inner state with your desires and then taking inspired action from that state. It's about planting intentions and trusting the process of their growth. It's about recognizing that everything has its own maturation period, and trying to accelerate it often pushes the result further away. Your desires don't arise randomly. They're not meaningless or mistaken. On a deeper level, they're signals from your inner intelligence, pointing you towards experiences and achievements that will help you grow, expand your potential, and contribute to the world. When you feel a genuine desire, life is already beginning to arrange the chain of events, people, and opportunities that can bring it into reality. And here is the most important part. Your job is not to control every detail or figure out exactly how it must happen. Your primary task is to stay aligned with the desire, to maintain inner coherence, keep your state elevated, and remain open to opportunities, acting when you feel a true impulse to act. You don't need to control every step if you clearly understand what matters to you and why. This requires developing what I call conscious faith. This isn't blind faith that denies reality or rejects action. It's intelligent faith. Trust in the process while actively participating in it. It's a belief grounded in the understanding that life itself is naturally oriented towards supporting your growth, success, and well-being, even when your current circumstances seem contradictory. Most people live from the opposite set of beliefs. They are convinced that life is hard, that success is reserved for a select few, that good things don't happen to people like them, and that every result must be fought for. These beliefs become self-fulfilling because they shape how you show up, what you pay attention to, how you interpret events, and which actions you consider possible. But what if you chose to look at life differently? What if you allowed yourself to believe that life is actually invested in your success? What if you accepted the idea that the universe works for you, not against you? What if you began to live with the assumption that everything ultimately unfolds for your highest good, even when you don't yet understand how? I'm not suggesting you close your eyes to reality or pretend that difficulties don't exist. I'm suggesting you expand the way you interpret what's happening. Instead of seeing obstacles as proof that you're not meant to succeed, try viewing them as opportunities to develop new skills or as redirections towards something more aligned. Instead of seeing delays as failures, try seeing them as perfect timing, whose meaning simply isn't visible yet. Instead of taking rejection personally, try seeing it as life protecting you from something that doesn't belong on your true path. This shift in perception doesn't instantly change external circumstances, but it radically changes your relationship to them. And your relationship to circumstances determines your state, your decisions, your energy, the way people respond to you, and ultimately the results you create. When you maintain a high internal state regardless of external conditions, you begin to function like a magnet for favorable outcomes. People who can help you start appearing in your life. You begin noticing opportunities that were always there but previously slipped past your awareness. You find yourself in the right place at the right time more often. You form connections that lead to unexpected breakthroughs. Information comes to you that points you in the right direction. This isn't naive positive thinking or pretending everything is perfect. It's the understanding that your emotional state is one of the most powerful tools for transforming your life. When you feel good, you act more effectively. When you feel confident, your steps become bolder and more precise. When you feel gratitude, you attract even more reasons to be grateful. When you feel abundance, you make decisions from sufficiency rather than lack. The problem is that most people believe the order is reversed. They think they need evidence first and only then can they feel good. They think money must come first and then they'll feel abundant. That they must enter a relationship first and then they'll feel loved. That they must achieve success first and then they'll feel confident. But the order is inverted. Your emotions are not the result of circumstances. They are the cause of the circumstances you create. This is perhaps the most important principle of all, and the one most people never realize. You don't feel good because good things happen. Good things begin to happen because you feel good. This means that your primary task in creating the life you want is not to calculate every strategy and tactic, although those matter too. Your key task is to learn how to manage your internal state, to cultivate gratitude, inspiration, confidence, and trust regardless of what is happening around you. I understand this may sound difficult, especially if you're currently facing serious challenges. If you're dealing with financial stress, health issues, strained relationships, or stagnation in your career, the idea of feeling good may seem inappropriate or even impossible. But it is precisely in these moments that these principles matter most. You don't aim for a good state to ignore your problems. You do it because that state gives you access to your clearest thinking, your most creative solutions, and your most effective actions for improving the situation. When you're stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed, you literally lose access to the cognitive resources that are available to you in a state of calm, confidence, and optimism. Think back to a time when you were deeply worried about something. What was your thinking like then? Did you find brilliant solutions, or did you spiral into worst-case scenarios, feeling stuck and drained? Most likely the latter, because anxiety narrows your focus and blocks creativity. Now think of a time when you felt genuinely good. Maybe you were in love, achieved an important goal, or were in a beautiful place. What was your thinking like then? Were you more open, confident, generous, and willing to take positive risks? This is why learning to manage your emotional state is so important. It's not just about feeling better. It's about accessing your highest intelligence, your deepest creativity, and the most magnetic version of yourself. A state in which you naturally attract the results you desire. The good news is that you have far more control over your state than you've been taught to believe. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can always influence your response. And it is your response that determines whether an experience becomes a springboard for growth or an obstacle on your path. One of the most powerful tools for managing your state is conscious focus of attention, the ability to direct it toward what you want rather than what you're trying to avoid. In theory, this sounds simple. In practice, it's challenging because most people are conditioned to focus on problems. They spend enormous mental energy analyzing what's wrong, what's missing, what they fear, and what they want to avoid. But your brain doesn't care whether you're thinking about what you want or what you don't want. It amplifies the object of your focus either way. If you spend the whole day thinking about not ending up without money, your attention is still on lack. If you worry about not being alone, your focus remains on loneliness. If you try desperately to avoid failure, your attention stays locked on failure. What you focus on tends to expand. This is another fundamental principle that most people violate every single day. Your attention is like water and sunlight for a plant. Whatever you water with your attention grows stronger in your life. Focus on problems, you create more problems. Focus on lack, you amplify the feeling of scarcity. Focus on gratitude, you uncover more reasons to be grateful. Focus on opportunities, new paths begin to open. This doesn't mean ignoring difficulties. It means giving them only as much attention as needed to address them, and then consciously shifting your focus to solutions and desired outcomes. It means asking yourself stronger questions. Instead of, "Why does this always happen to me?" ask, "What growth or lesson is hidden in this experience?" Instead of, "What if nothing works out?" ask, "What if everything turns out better than I can imagine?" The quality of your questions shapes the quality of your thinking. The quality of your thinking shapes the quality of your decisions, and your decisions create your results. Most people ask themselves questions that trap them in spirals of anxiety and limitation. But when you learn to ask expansive questions, you train your mind to search for expansive answers. And now, I want you to understand one simple but fundamental truth. Your life does not require constant struggle from you. It does not require you to prove your worth, earn your right to happiness, or move forward through exhaustion. Life requires your presence, your awareness, your alignment with who you truly are and what you genuinely want. You are not here to control everything. You are here to direct your attention, choose your state, and trust the process you are part of. When you stop resisting life and begin cooperating with it, much of what once felt difficult begins to unfold with surprising ease. This doesn't mean you'll never face challenges again, but it means you'll stop seeing them as enemies. You'll begin to see them as signals, guidance, and points of growth. Every delay becomes an invitation to slow down and reassess your direction. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to grow stronger and wiser. Every ending becomes preparation for a new beginning. Over time, you'll start noticing that life meets you halfway more and more often. The right conversations happen on their own. Opportunities appear at the exact moment you're internally ready for them. Solutions arrive unexpectedly, yet right on time. And you'll catch yourself thinking that things are unfolding better than you could have planned. This is the state of flow, a state in which you're not running from the present moment and not clinging to the future. You're here, engaged, attentive, but not tense. You act from clarity, not fear, from trust, not scarcity. And most importantly, you begin to feel an inner stability that doesn't depend on external circumstances. Even when things don't go according to plan, there is an inner anchor. Even when answers haven't arrived yet, there is a sense that they will. Even when the path isn't fully clear, you know you're moving in the right direction. And when you reach this state, you'll be amazed at how supportive, generous, and precise life can be. If this video resonated with you, if you felt calm, clarity, or a new understanding, support our channel, The Power of the New Me. Subscribe so you don't miss new videos, and tap the bell so the right message reaches you at the right moment. Leave a like and write any comment, even a single word. It helps YouTube share this video with those who may need it most right now. Thank you for being here and for choosing to grow with this space.